Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by putting out the problem statement to the forum. And why the problem statement? Because all of you are good teachers, great teachers. So that is not a problem. The problem is, have we understood the situation right? Are we ready to teach the students what they actually want to learn? And what is that student expectation is? So I know you may find it redundant, you've already known that, but let me lay off the land in front of you again. These are unprecedented circumstances for all of us. I mean, I've not met anybody who has been into anything which is even close to what we are going through. Well, the present pandemic is a challenge. In fact, it's a challenge that world has been waiting for quite a while. We have ravaged our planet with brutal passion, assuming that there won't be any repercussions. There won't be a reckoning. Well, the reckoning is here, thankfully. It's not as bad as all the science fiction or naysayers had predicted, but it is bad enough, right? Before 2 months, I think the most critical resources globally were their arms and arsenals, oil, land, gold reserves. None of them matter anymore. New order has emerged, which is here to stay. So, what are the most important functions right now? Well, janitors. Yes, if they don't clean, we are doomed. Doctors, of course, and medical professionals, bankers, and us, teachers. I mean, pandemic is sad, but it has given us one thing that we didn't have till now, the role and the importance that we deserved. However, the question is, are we up to it? Have we understood it? I'll get onto it slightly later. Now, the problem statement from the student perspective. Friends, students have no clue what's happening to them, like their parents. The material world that they had been brought up with has come down crashing back to within a week. I mean, look at a typical middle class or slightly above middle class couple and their kids. They may or may not have time for their kids, but they have enough money. So if there is any problem, you have a solution that can be bought. That's how things are. So solution may be right or wrong, but to them, there was a solution which could be bought with money. And what were the solutions? An iPad, a better dress, a better vehicle, more material things, a better handset. Suddenly, none of them matter. So you can't really, although the social media and everything is there, but you can't really flaunt your new car or even a new dress or anything, because why? You're restricted. The worst part is, because they were not restricted by anyone, they don't know what restrictions are. So they are completely lost. They are trying to look at their parents for solutions. The parents themselves are completely lost, because all the definitions they had about life have suddenly been deleted completely. So you save this much, you spend this much, go for a European holiday. If not, then go for an Indian holiday, go out and eat in a restaurant, buy these things for your friends, buy flowers for your wife, order toy for it. Nothing works. And hence, fortunately or unfortunately, teachers become very critical, because they believe, although they may not tell you, that anybody except their parents who may be able to help them during this difficult time is their teachers. So right now, nobody is going to tell us, especially the students, that they need a life level guidance, but they do. And there lies the success of the teacher. That if somehow students at this point of time can get an impression that at least professionally their teachers know something and they're very sure, they are going to eat out of their hands. And I'm not talking in air, guys. We have been running around 10 batches since last 3 weeks. We are teaching around 400 students simultaneously. And believe you me, only 40% of them used to be, attending the lectures properly before this happened. Now our attendance rate is as big as 90-95%. At times, the parents have requested that, oh, we are just getting bored and our kid is so interested. Can we join in the sessions? So that is the kind of engagement that we are looking from the students. Now, all we need right now, I know it's likely, it's a big ask, but we need to be confident about what we are doing. We need to engage them. See, there are two main strengths that they need right now: patience and resilience. I think most of you, in fact, I'm sure all of you know, these are the two virtues students don't have. Forget about the spelling, forget about anything. They just don't have it. How do you do it? You show them the value by being patient and resilient on your own. Does that mean that you need to tolerate them? No, of course not. But you actually need to tweak your style a bit. Now, a quick overview of the difference between real world and virtual world teaching. The basic part of real world is that we are all used to it. It's a three-dimensional figure with sight and sound right in front of you. It gives student a different kind of comfort. It also scares them. In real world, they can't just open the door and run in front of you because there's a physical presence. Also, your body language and your facial expressions, everything is more clear. At times, you're not even looking at a person. Since you're looking at in the direction, all the 8-10 kids in the direction will be hushed. That doesn't happen here. Why? Because the students are not used to this. So it takes some time and slightly more engagement points for them to realize, no, you are there. Not only there, you have a better control on them. And that's what we are going to look at momentarily. What are the advantage of the virtual world? The sound is very clear. So nobody can just mumble an answer and go away. However, it is a challenge for us too, because each and every word, each and every breath, pause we take is being heard very clearly. And students are judgmental. So it is a good idea if we kind of forget something or this thing, just apologize and go on and not try to ignore it as if they would have not. The second most important mistake, and guys, this is something that I have been saying as a mistake being repeated by the best people. I had a session with IIT Bombay people a couple of days back. And what I realized that even they are doing this mistake of running a PPT without interaction. Guys, PPT is a deal breaker if there is no interaction. Because it's a monologue, people get bored, and they already, once they've read the PPT, there's nothing more you are adding to it, right? So presentations, yes, very important, but they need to be taken care of very diligently. In fact, as much as possible, let the student present. You can always have your input, have your own presentation in the background to validate the student. But don't go for presentations as long as they are not required. So except for diagrams or complex things, talk to them. Talk to them. Second, students hate sermons. So everything needs to be short, if not sweet. Anything. So I'll give you a very quick data. Unfortunately, data is not from India. It is still coming from US and Europe, that in case a teacher speaks to a student more than 2 minutes, he or she has already lost 20%. Every 30 seconds more than that, they keep on losing 20%. And after 3.5 minutes, they have lost everybody except those 1 or 2 really brilliant students who want to listen to them. So it's generally a good idea not to have a sermon. So how do we change it? A very simple change is to start your sessions with a hook. Hook can be a real life incident. It can be a scene from a popular book. No, I don't think kids or majority of them read book, but it can be a part of a good sitcom or movie and all, and then relate it to your topic. Now, this clip needs to be interesting, but it cannot be humorous. Because once your class starts laughing, it will take you at least 4 to 5 minutes to get them back. So the first thing is any lecture, irrespective, needs to have a strong hook. Even if you are doing a mathematical problem related to life, I mean, give an incident of yourself that maybe your son, your daughter, brother, sister wanted some money, and then because of thing ATM didn't get out, whatever. Make a relatable story. The moment you do that, you have their attention. Secondly, and we have tried it different ways, guys. Try not to have a virtual class more than 30 students. I know it's very difficult for some of you or maybe all of you, but it's better to take shorter sessions rather than having more participants. Why? Because with 30 students, you'll be able to have 1 or 2 touch points with each of them. And that brings me to my next point, that whether you were talking to them during regular lectures or not, you need to make sure that everyone talks. Even if it's a word, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, or you're correct, that's fine. Make them talk. This thing. So 2 touch points are very important. Another part, have them switch on their videos all the time. All the time. Because it's very easy for me. Even I have been in like hundreds of video conferencing even before the world move on to the virtual world. I mean, in United Nations, most of our countries were at remote location. We were not able to visit them. All of our meetings used to happen through some very complex video or audio platforms. Most of the efficiency of video calls were double or triple more than the efficiency of the audio calls, especially with multiple stakeholders, because like others, we can always put our mic on mute, go for a coffee, or just get lost. I mean, we are still listening, but we are not engaged. But once the video is on, whether you are looking at them or not, there is a pressure. And here comes my next point, that pick up random people to talk. Now, this will be the most difficult part for all of you. As a teacher, even I have faced this challenge, that how do I keep on looking at multiple windows while talking about my subject? It's not as difficult as it sounds. Yes, first couple of lectures are going to be a bit weird, but try to look at all the participants. Like right now, I'm scrolling my top bar to see that how many participants are there on video, how many participants are there just in as a name and all. So you can do it. All I'm saying is it takes a bit of practice, but you can do it. And there are many benefits to be reaped from that. The moment your students know that you are looking, they'll be there. And if by chance you are able to catch one defaulter, just one, you need not have many, you will be all ears. See, one thing you need to understand, you need to get them for only 1 or max 2 interesting lectures. They need you more than they realize they do. They have nothing better to do at home right now. They have exhausted all the media posts and all. Their friends are equally bored. Well, media is very intriguing, charming, exciting when somebody is stopping you, when you have rest of the world. Now they have realized when they don't have rest of the world, media is not so interesting. So you find people are their only connect with the rest of the world. You are the only guides they have, because their internal support system, which was already a bit skewed, is not there altogether. 2 good sessions you have my personal guarantee that your students are going to be with you throughout. That is really, really important. There is another thing. Uh, I really don't know how much that is possible, because in all the institutes that I have been consulting, I've asked them to have at least another coordinator to assist the teachers. Coordinator need not be there throughout, but coordinator is an extra aid. Even if the coordinator can be there for 10 minutes and keep on picking those discipline breakers, you'll see suddenly the attention increases a lot and the discipline prevails. So again, I'll leave it to discretion of you find people, but having a coordinator in a session has helped. And I'm saying has helped because we have enough proof of concept that a session having a coordinator is much better received, especially first two sessions. Okay, once you go deep into your sessions, like sixth or seventh, it's okay not to have a coordinator, because by now students are already engaged. In fact, you'll be surprised. It will be so difficult to keep them quiet. So yeah, you may still need a coordinator, but for a very different and much more positive reason, this thing. So that is very important. Next point, that in your class, your deliverable for that hour or 2 hours need to be very clearly defined. I'll give you an example, a basic example, that after we finish this session, I expect all the participants to know better about online teaching and have the basics of do's and don'ts along with the examples with you when you go out. So this is about this session. About your any session, I mean, let's talk about language. That I really don't know whether language is a subject in most of the colleges. So let me take commerce. So if you have a session on balance sheet, after this session, you will be able to understand a balance sheet better, balance a balance sheet better, read it better, draw conclusions. Whatever you're saying have to be very clear. See, in real world, where their attention span is actually divided, they have many other things to do, so they don't care whether things are defined or not. But in virtual world, it gives them a feeling of importance that, okay, this is what I'm learning of otherwise my boring day, where I had nothing else to do. So setting up the period objective is very important. Setting up the term objective is equally important. That after 20 sessions, say you'll be able to understand microeconomics of South Asian countries. Right? Now, this is a very specific statement. And what happens is both you and students will have something to hold on to throughout the session. And end of the sessions, you can always give them that extra nudge of being closer to their target. It helps. See, one thing which is brilliant about online medium is that if I'm talking to you, I am talking to you, I can't multitask. And believe you me, once you've got the students, if they are listening to you, they are listening to you. They will not be talking to their parents. They will not be answering their girlfriend, boyfriends, or this thing. They won't be looking into fashion things because they know they can do it after the class. Yes, they knew it even before in the real world, but then they had friends and other distractions. So they can actually keep themselves busy without coming back to work. Here, they don't. So it's very critical to define the objective. Another point, many of these students want to talk about their personal life. They want to talk about their personal issues. Please don't entertain that, because we don't know the level of their personal issues, and we don't know the mental states. We're already into third to fourth week of lockdown. So there are some students who are not even talking to their parents. Their parents are in a separate room. They are in a separate room. So the moment you start talking personal, not only the person is going to take away the entire lecture, but you may get some reactions weak, which you cannot control. Which actually brings me to a very important point. Is I'm sorry to bring it to your notice, but it is very important. If you see a behavior where a student is snapping you out, you see the facial expressions not being very good, the response type is inadequate, however, it shows lots of irritation, please contact 100. There have been enough and more cases where people have tried to harm themselves. See, not everybody is equipped to go through this grind. So, hence, it is not a good idea to address personal issues. Yes, all of us have helped students personally when it came to real world because they were right in front of us. We knew, we could look at their body language, we knew their backgrounds, we knew what their mental states are. Here we don't. And again, we will never be able to solve their problems. A, for lack of time, B, lack of understanding. And three, of course, we don't want to get into this. So please understand that no personal things can be or should be entertained in the class. Yes, a bit of personal details. What did you have for your lunch, dinner? Did you learn something else? Is fine. This is fine. But the moment somebody says, ma'am, sir, I have a problem, blah, 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 stop them there. A very easy way, an effective way to do that is tell them, listen, go through this lecture, go through other lectures. Your problems may not be solved, but you'll learn something more and you'll be in a better position to take care of your problems. We have done that to a couple of students. I don't know how it has worked because we've not been able to meet them personally, but till now they are attending the session. So I'm assuming that at least this response has partially worked, that you concentrate on studies, you concentrate on the session, look at all the friends, look at me, and things should be better. I know, not the best solution, but this is the best solution in the present circumstances. Second, do not entertain bandwidth issues. Students are going to come back to you and say, ma'am, bandwidth is not there. I can't switch on my video. I'm up and down. Don't. Because all of you would have noticed that since last 3 to 4 weeks, yes, the bandwidth has been patchy at times, but we have never been without internet. So yes, for a minute or two, they may freeze, things will, but they'll come back. But the moment you entertain a bandwidth issue, there'll be plethora of issues. Everybody will have a bandwidth issue. And bandwidth will come back in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Personally, I've not seen it fluctuate more than 4 minutes, this thing. However, the students will be gone for it. And they'll very nicely keep on sending you messages. Sorry, ma'am, net still not up, still not down. I'll tell you what we have done. And initially, well, there were many stakeholders who thought that we were being very strict, but it worked. So in first 3 or 4 sessions, we got 50% of the students complaining about bandwidth. We started barring those students from the session and marking them absent. In fact, after third day, we said that if they have this bandwidth issue, they won't be allowed for the final assessment. In our case, final assessment is industry interview and some assessments, this thing. The very next day, the bandwidth issue fell less than 1%. Yeah, I mean, 0.2 per, if I say out of 500 students, 1 or 2 students complained about that. Beyond that, we've also put in a bandwidth protocol that, okay, if your bandwidth is going down for a moment, switch off your video, then switch on after 30 seconds. If it's completely down, restart your device, because restarting takes good 3 to 4 minutes and then bandwidth are low. However, we have not given them option that bandwidth is gone, so I cannot join the lecture. And this has led to improvement of attendance as well as concentration in the lecture. So that is very critical. I mean, we being us, and I mean, mamas and papas in us, okay, beta, don't do that, don't do this, nothing doing. There's no bandwidth problem. There are 2 or 3 things which, I mean, government has promised us and they have been good till now. One is water, electricity, and internet is a part of the essentials. So if it goes down, it will be a big ruckus. So no, bandwidth is not going down. Again, keep your statements very short, as short as, no, I'm not asking you to cut your problem into half, but keep it as short as possible. And keep on asking random students about have they understood or not. You'll need to do it aggressively for first few lectures, then people will come back to it. See, the problem with our students, in fact, even us, was that we are shy of asking questions, especially because people laugh at us, creating fool of ourselves in front of the public. And here, the audio is so clear that I don't even have an excuse that, oh, maybe I was not so loud, so the people or backbenchers have not heard me, or ma'am has not heard me. So keep the statement short and clear. So by doing that, A, the understanding increases, and B, even they get into the habit of having short and clear sentences. Next point, the language of communication, try to keep it English as much as possible. Because I understand many of our students have problem with the English language, but the advantage of sticking to English language, it's less ambiguous. And also, if they speak to you in English, you'll understand what is the level you need to come to make the lecture understandable to the bulk of the audience. See, there'll always be a bell curve. There'll be people who'll understand you no matter what you say. There'll be people who won't understand you no matter how easy you make it. But the bulk, 70 to 80% will be the one who'll understand you better if you make it more palatable. So by making short sentences, short and clear sentences, you actually are encouraging them to that. By asking them queries, you are encouraging them to kind of do things properly. Another part, and I think that will be the last thing, I'll rather take your questions after that, is that always end your lecture on a positive note. Here's the time for us to steal from Bollywood and Hollywood thrillers. That whenever you end a lecture, leave them with a query. It need not be a study-based query. It can be an interesting GK question, as simple as that, okay, what is the present fashion borrowing itself from? I mean, Akshay Kumar wears a particular type of jacket. Where is he getting his reference from? Is he getting it from Marlon Brando or Al Pacino? I mean, I'm just giving an example. You have to change the example depending upon the audience, because the audience may understand Marlon Brando or may understand Amitabh Bachchan or Ranbir Kapoor. I'm just giving an example. But keep this query simple enough for the younger generation to relate to. If you do that, and something which is not easily Googleable, have in few lectures, have a kind of a contest attached to it. It's quite okay to even give them some numbers to do that. It doesn't hurt. I've seen people come back. In fact, I've seen few teachers for whom students actually inquire, is ma'am coming in tomorrow on time? I hope the lecture is happening on time. So things like that are going to make life much better for them. I'm going to ignore all the technical guidance because we've documented all that in the document. I wanted to tell you guys about things which are not documented there and some practical tips and tricks about it. So the whole idea is that if you're able to teach them in an engaging manner with discipline, we should be able to do it effectively. I'll give you our personal so we have a diploma course in BFSI. Our general completion rate in real world with real world lectures, around 60% students complete the diploma, and out of which around 40 to 50% are ready for employment. In the last course that got over last week, we have a 95 completion rate, out of which 85 people are in for the program. They did it fine. So that was the personal experience that I wanted to share with you people.